You're listening to IWW Radio, coming to you from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And in the house today we have Darby Mills, formerly of the Headpins. Darby, give us, our listeners, a little bit of history. A little bit. I know it's only 15 minutes, but a little bit of history and the new journey that you started.
Okay, well, back in 1977, I graduated from high school and loaded up my Gremlin, moved to Calgary, Alberta, because that's where the hot spots, that's where all the clubs were and all the bands. Joined 3, 4, 10, 20, I don't know, bands. Got picked up by a band in Vancouver, moved to Vancouver, got fired, moved back to Calgary, moved to Edmonton, joined a 7-piece black band called Business Before Pleasure from Harlem, New York. And a month into that gig, ran into Steelback from Victoria, and they said, hey, do you want to come to Victoria? They were a rock band instead of a disco band, so I went, yeah. Moved to Victoria. A year and a half or less later, McLeod hired me in the Headpins, and we recorded 3 albums, toured a whole bunch, and got fired at the end of 1985. Did a reunion tour in 1988, I believe. The situation didn't get a whole lot better, so we broke up again. I got a solo deal, got dropped. Went over to Europe, recorded with Pete Townsend and Tina Turner's producer Greg Walsh. Came home, got dropped. That album never came out. Recorded Never Look Back in 1990. That was released under Warner Music here in Canada. Came out for a year, sold about 35,000 copies, got dropped. A year later, started up again with what was left of the Headpins, and worked with them for the past 25 years until 2016, where I decided to, as I'm pushing 60, there was a bunch of things that I wanted to do that the Headpins just were not willing or wanted to do with me, so I bit the bullet and decided to go solo.
Perfect. Well, let's move on here to the first tune, Hot Water by Darby Mills.
Standing in my backyard, telling
listening to IWW Radio, and we heard some live stuff from Darby Mills. That's Hot Water. Darby, tell our listeners a little bit about Hot Water.
That song was co-written by myself and a gentleman called Stan Meisner, who lives in Toronto. He's also the president, I believe, of... Oh, no. You just lost me, didn't you?
No, you're there. Don't worry. We got you back. You know, with the old press of the finger.
Okay. Yes. By Stan Meisner. He's the president of SOCAN. Right now, I believe he still is anyway, but he was a staff writer for a publishing company I was signed to years ago, and we co-wrote that song. It's just all about life and living in, for me at the time, Vancouver, and it's just a kickin' fun song that was put together to try to equal people, a sequel to People from the Headpins.
Perfect. Well, let's move on to the next one, Dancin' by Darby Mills.
Push it back, huh? 1981.
You're listening to IWW Radio, and we're coming to you from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And in the house we have Darby Mills, formerly of Headpins. Darby, tell us a little bit about dancing.
Nothing new to it's the same song. It's been for almost 40 years now. It's all about partying back in the 80s, which is pretty much what anybody and everybody did back in the 80s. Now it's just a song of could be regret. No, just kidding. It's just a great old party tune from 1980.
Yeah.
81 years.
It really got that was on the MTV, if I'm correct, right? That video.
Yeah, we had a couple, 3-4 videos on
Much
MTV.
music.
Yeah,
much
had
music.
much music. MTV. The Headpins broke up about a month and a half prior to staying all night, making it to the top 100. It was like, oh, beautiful.
Cool.
We broke up. Nice timing.
So, yeah, we've got about a minute left, Darby. If you can just fill us in on, is there any dates coming up this year, next year, and what's in store for?
I hope so. Yeah, we just got finished being picked up by the Feldman Agency, which is a wonderful news. They're one of the biggest agencies across Canada. And my former management from the Headpin days, so full circle all the way back. Was lucky enough to have a lady called Melinda Friedman come join me here in Vernon and shoot about 80 hours of footage and put together a documentary, which she had titled The Queen of Scream. You can check it out either on YouTube or on Telus On Demand. And there's pretty much all the information, if you care to hear, is on the documentary, and she's done a wonderful job putting it together.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Darby, for being on the show today, and have a great day. And you're listening to IWW Radio, coming to you from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Have a great day, folks.